Hello? What's up, Anders?
Up, dude?
How are you?
Just living the dream, man. Hanging out in captivity here, you know?
Yeah, me too. This is insane.
Yeah, I do a lot of talking on my computer now.
Pretty good.
Um, how's life? I'm stoked we get to do this. There are some huge benefits to this whole thing. We get to connect with people a little bit easier. It's odd that it's easier to do it online,
I know. This is insane. Like, thank goodness for technology.
right? What would we have done? How would we even know that there was a global pandemic if we didn't have the internet? How would we be waiting for the newspaper to show up every day?
Newspaper and then horse and buggy to tell us.
Yeah, it'd be scary. It'd be
Just,
weird.
yeah, running around. Guys, there's a pandemic. How do you know? My mom is sick.
Yeah,
Okay.
someone told me. Okay.
Someone told me. That's good. That's good. You see anything?
Um. Yeah, dude. There would be no way. I mean, it's like the shot heard around the world. Start the Revolutionary War. Some guy riding through town on his horse, yelling at you to that the British are coming. That's pretty much how how things worked, I guess.
Like, yeah, I have no idea. Like, I didn't know anything was happening until like I got online, I guess, and they're like, "Oh, pandemic." Is like, sure there is. That's fine,
Yeah, it's crazy.
whatever. But
Um,
how are things in North Carolina?
dude, life is good. I would say this whole thing, and there's been more positives coming out of it than negatives. I mean,
Okay,
I say that I'm like 5.5 days of sanity. My mom's here right now to watch the little one. Um, so I try and give her little breaks, and my wife's downstairs doing her. She's got the dining room. I've unfortunately been moved to the bedroom for my work, which is like the work from home hell to be in your bedroom all day long because then your like place that you relax is also the place that you work.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, dude, like I don't know. I have my daughter and I go and take a little walk to the coffee shop every morning and we get coffee and a muffin and that's really cool. We've been doing that like a daily thing. Um, I'm I'm lucky enough to have a yard and a house that isn't super cramped, so getting outside, the weather's been really nice. I mean, for the most part, like I just don't go places, which is totally fine.
yeah.
Um, it really is just like keeping the important things important, and everything outside of that is just unnecessary. So we don't worry about it,
Yeah. I mean,
and it's out of our control, which is like the bigger thing. Like, what am I gonna do?
yeah,
I'm not really scared of any of it. I'm not really worried about any of it. I think that a lot of like everything is out of our control. I would if things were open, I would have no problem going, but nothing's open. So what do you do? It's not
yeah.
like you're not allowed to like rebel against the government and be like, "No, I'm going out." It's like you're going to go out and just sit in your car. So you just don't go anywhere. It's
Yeah.
easy.
Go for a drive if you really have to, but like, you don't need to.
Um yeah, that's about it. We've actually done that a couple times. So but yeah, dude, it's cool. Like we're just getting around just like everybody else. I mean, I'm life we film, we record shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I got another one this afternoon. We got two today. At 6:30 in the morning just because we're dads and Doug got three kids. I got one. Travis Mash has got three. Um, so as much as we like have to work and we have to record and we have to do all the business stuff, um, it's like uh, some schedules change. I'd rather be on the road doing shows, but at the same time, I'm at no point in time am I really ever going to except right now or something similar to this. Am I going to be able to spend like an entire 4 to 8 weeks with my daughter for this many hours in a day, which is just insanity to me. Like it's crazy being around her that much and like watching her grow and talk and play and It's awesome. It's really cool.
I saw her skateboarding the other day. That
What a
was
savage, right?
yeah, it's insane.
She's gangster. Yeah, I think I put her on a skateboard when she was like maybe let's see, she was about 18 months old when I first started putting her on. And now inside 21 months, I got her standing up on it and going down hills. It's pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go to like Child Protective Services for chucking my 21-month-old daughter down a driveway hill standing on a skateboard, but she seems to be pretty confident, so I'm going with it.
Just see the paper headline: North Carolina dad.
Right? She takes some pretty good diggers, but she keeps getting back up. And I feel like if I just don't react, and I'm like, that's just part of the whole process, then it's just normal to her. She doesn't know anything different, so we don't worry about it.
Yeah, we have my wife and I just got a brand new German Shepherd puppy on Friday.
Yeah,
So if you hear a little yelping in the background, he's in the kennel.
perfect.
Yeah, so
We have a lot of kids jumping on podcasts now where like they wake up, they run downstairs, they see dad talking, and they're like they want to see the screen and then they want to see the people. So a lot of our like Zoom videos have like a kid will just hop on for a minute, be on the podcast, and then they like run off and do what they do.
yeah, we don't think we're having children, so we decided to get a puppy, and
Yeah.
like we're still in the phase of getting him to know his name. So like he just started staying calm in his kennel as of yesterday.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like we get up in the middle of the night if he wakes us up. For like the last 3 nights, he slept for 8 hours.
You're like,
So
fuck
this
yes.
is amazing, man. Like
Yeah.
9:30, getting up at 5:45, taking him out, and then like, all right, let's start the day, I guess.
Dude, she's up at 5. We're really thinking about changing her bedtime around just because it's like um she wakes up at 5. That's early. That's really
Oh,
early. I'm up at 5. I'm trying to be up at like 5:30, but when she beats me, I'm like, we got to change things up. I can't do this. You're not allowed to be up at 5. That's too early.
that's it's early. I used to coach all the AM classes,
Yeah.
so like I'd have to be at the gym at like 4:45 to open it. So
Yeah.
up at 3:45, 4 a.m.
It's brutal,
God,
right?
this is insane, man.
Yeah,
How
that
do you
was
get through
my those were my favorite classes though. Up at 4:30, out of the house at 5, at the gym at 5:15, fired up at 5:30.
Yeah,
It's a
just
good
a
way to
lot of
start.
coffee.
It's a good way to start everything.
Yeah, just all the coffee, bring all the
Yeah.
snacks you can, and then just
I feel like I just like would go straight to Starbucks and not even know that I was doing anything. Like my body would be like, "We're here. Energy, Starbucks, large coffee, please save me."
yeah, I would set the coffee pot to like make coffee as soon as I woke up, so that wake up, bathroom, grab coffee, out the door.
Right?
All right, here we go.
Um, yeah, that I actually do miss that shift at the gym. That was like Monday morning, 5:30 a.m. That's just like the best time to find out um, how awesome people can be. Really, is like just fucking. You're there at 5:30. If you got 30 people cranking it out in the morning, or 20 people at 5:30 a.m. and you're throwing a fitness frat party,
Yeah,
life is good.
there'd be times where I'd show up at like 4:45 to open the gym, and there's people in the parking lot already, and they're like, "Dude, you're late." And it's like, class doesn't start for like 15 minutes, man. What do you mean I'm late?
Yeah.
They're like, "No, we want to work out." It's like, all right, well, we're gonna wait 15 minutes.
Yeah, right? Like, okay, like do something. Just run in a
Go,
circle. Run in
yeah,
place.
go sit on a foam roller, hop on the bike.
Yeah.
15
I
minutes
can't even imagine though where you're at, dude. It's super cold in the morning. Like
Yeah.
really, really cold.
Thankfully, the last like week and a half, it's been like 50s and 60s. and then
Yeah.
on Easter Sunday we had a blizzard. So we yeah, it's
Brutal.
stupid. So like we decided not to get the puppy until April so that there was no snow to take him out in. And then it was like
Boom.
60 degrees on Saturday. Sunday
Yeah.
there was a blizzard. There's still snow outside right now. It's like whatever. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like 35 degrees outside.
Right? What can you do? It's just is what it is.
Yeah, that's
It's
what
part of
happens.
life.
Yeah.
So,
So like, how did you get started in your journey to be like host of Barbell Shrugged? You
oh, the
you
whole story, huh?
yeah, you own the
Um,
gym, you started the 1 ton challenge, all the fun stuff.
the life journey. Yeah, man. I started training when I was just a little 13-year-old. That was so I have a relatively interesting story in that I left home when I was 14. I wasn't like a bad kid by any means. I wanted to go play ice hockey. And when you're from Virginia Beach, as you know, being in a cold state where they play really good hockey, um, somebody from Virginia that grows up at the beach, it's not really a good spot to learn how to play ice hockey. The kids that are good at ice hockey have been playing ice hockey on a pond for the first 14 years of their lives, and they do it for 6, 7 months at a time, and they don't have to go to a hockey rink to play. They can play all day long if they want on the weekends, and I couldn't. Um, so there was a hockey tournament. I don't even know if it still exists. It's like one of the first national youth hockey tournaments called Hockey Night in Boston,
Okay.
and I played for Team Mid Atlantic. I was originally supposed to move to Minnesota actually and play at a high school called Apple Core, or not Apple Core, Apple Valley, something like that. My
Yeah.
my aunt went there, or my cousin went there, and I was going to go live with my aunt and uncle and play probably JV to start because that's just they were really good. They won the state championship that year, and it was just really cool. And then I went to this tournament, found out prep school existed, that I could go to New England and actually go to private school and go to a boarding school, and went and did all the interviews. And then next thing you know, I was talking to hockey coaches, and they were telling me I was too small and too slow. And I was like, all right, well, that's where I need to be. Like, if I need to get better, I need to go play with the people that don't think I'm good enough and get better. So I found out how to squat, and I squatted and I squatted and I kept squatting. And everything was just always about surviving. Like, I'm not a huge person. In high school, I don't even know what I actually weighed, but I'm like 5'8", maybe 5'9" on like the tallest day of my life. Um, and when you're 14 years old, away from home for the first time, there's a lot of growing that goes on. And like, at these schools, a lot of kids will go from high school straight to prep school to play an additional year, to grow an additional year. So like, I remember my sophomore year lining up with a kid that was like 6'3", like he was a giant. He had a full beard, and going back to the bench and just being like, guys, like, who is this monster that I'm lining up against? Thinking like, I'm worth, like, this guy doesn't even know I exist. He basically, there's nobody like on him all day long. I'm just a flea that he's just gonna like shoo away all day. And they were like, oh yeah, that kid got drafted last year, but he's doing a postgraduate year so he can grow a little bit. And I was like, he doesn't need to grow anymore. He's huge. These people are giants. Somebody changed positions with me today. Um, so through high school, like, training was just, I wanted to be great at hockey. I wanted to play. I wanted to find out how good I could be, but I needed to get stronger. So that's what it was. I was lucky enough to have a dad that understood, that had done real training in his life to get bigger and stronger, and knew how to squat and knew programs to follow, and things like that. So it was a pretty structured journey from the beginning of just learning how to work hard in a gym. I'm oddly enough, most college coaches aren't like really super interested in 5'8", 180 pound seniors coming out of high school. So that was the end of the hockey career. Um, Still trained a little bit when I got into college, just because I knew you were supposed to, but it was really directionless until I met my roommate. A kid moved into my house. His name's Brian, who I ended up starting a business with. We were best friends for, I mean, still great friends, but we opened a gym together in San Diego. And he was like super deep into the learning, or I was just in the gym having fun and enjoyed it. It still kind of is that way. Um, but he like super accelerated my passion for strength training, because it was like I had somebody that was stronger than me, so I needed to get stronger. He was much more dedicated to the like learning side of it, which was awesome. And that really pushed me, because then I knew that there was like an education piece, and there was a structured way to get better at getting stronger. And then of course, like girls matter. You just want to look better and be stronger and carry the confidence that comes along with everything strength training. Um, and that literally was like the path. There was no, every time I graduated college and had like a 9 to 5 desk job. I worked for Northrop Grumman. There was never a path. Nobody ever. Every time I went to a like Gold's Gym or 24-hour fitness and I saw the personal trainers doing their job, it looked like hell. There was no way I wanted to do that job. Um, the people they trained weren't my people. The people that actually were my people, they were like professional bodybuilders, which like wasn't, and I only liked them because they trained really hard, not because I wanted to do that. And then CrossFit came around, and it all of a sudden opened up this avenue to be able to own, or not even own, but to train for a reason and play a sport in this thing that I had already been doing for 10 years. So as soon as CrossFit showed up, I was smashing people. Like I had already done tons of metabolic conditioning, metcons, like through playing ice hockey. Um, I I always like ran sprints. I wasn't like everything that was CrossFit outside of like the gymnastics side of it, I was already doing. I didn't snatch. I didn't really understand Olympic lifting, but that came very easily to me because I had already had like a big athletic base. And then it was like, okay. And I remember starting CrossFit. It was like 2006, I want to say, and it was like the first year, maybe it's 2007, but it was like the first year that the CrossFit Games existed. And I was like, wait a second, there's people out in the desert doing this against each other. There's like a real game that I can play and be good at. So I ended up going to grad school. I was supposed to open a gym, really, like by a buddy of mine. We're going to open a gym. We started raising money because we had none, which was really interesting. Um, we thought we were going to be able to run it out of some guy's backyard and like lay concrete in his backyard, and he would think that was a good idea, which was not really that smart. But I ended up going and getting my MBA, South Carolina, because girls say they're going to go places and then we follow them. But it was great because I joined my first ever CrossFit gym, had a real strength coach named Paul Beckwith, and I watched him grow his gym from like 30 members when I showed up. They had just opened to well over 300. It turned into, it's probably still one of the biggest gyms in South Carolina. And then I broke up with that girl. I had nothing to do. I did what all lost boys do. I moved to San Diego, moved to the beach, basically just to party and not go back to work while I was finishing grad school. I didn't tell my boss that I moved to San Diego. I didn't tell him that I was opening a gym. And then about 3 weeks before I quit my job, or I was supposed to go back um, to work at Northrop Grumman because I was still like working remotely. Man, this was like 2007, 8, something like that, 2007. And they were expecting me to come back, and I had to call them and be like, look guys, I'm in San Diego. I didn't tell you. I moved out here. I finished school early and moved to the beach. So, yeah, at the time, my life, when I moved to San Diego, was like a giant transition in my life. You kind of like go through your life and all of the signs point to the thing that you should be doing, but you don't know that you can actually go do it until you jump off the cliff and hopefully something catches you. And that really was the pivotal moment. Like I had broken up with a girl that I was supposed to be married with and have a family with. Like we dated for 3.5 years. We lived together and then it was over. Um, I had no interest in going back to my 9 to 5 job. Like I knew that that wasn't the life that I wanted, but I had no idea. So, and the only place that I was like really happy was training, and CrossFit was the thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to be good at it. So I just did what I needed to do. We raised money. I found a location right on Garnett Avenue and 5 blocks off the beach. Um, I ran 2 jobs. I would take conference calls in the middle of running classes and ignore the conference call and just keep coaching. Um, it was super, super challenging, but also like it's kind of like one of those things where because it was the only thing you knew, we were totally down to work 14, 15 hours a day. I didn't have anything else going on. So I'd be up at 6. I would write an email at like 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time so they think I was working. Um, I would go coach. I would run the gym. I would do everything needed to do during the day while like periodically sending emails, calling into things that I needed to call into. Um, and then 2 o'clock would hit, and that's when I would start training myself because that would be 5 o'clock on the East Coast, and I didn't. And then everybody would leave, so that left my entire afternoon open on the West Coast time to run the gym and run classes. Um, so if you're 27 years old, you have nothing to do, you have no real career or anything, I highly recommend just doing it. Because especially if you're on like West Coast, East Coast, like I was, there's just who's gonna like track you down? Nobody. There's just nobody's there to like no one's there to bother you because they're all home. They're all with their families. Um, but yeah, I sold the gym 6 years later. I try not to talk about my CrossFit career too much because it seems like I'm like the guy throwing the football over the mountain, reliving the high school days. But yeah, I competed at regionals 4 times. We had 70, what is like a little over 75 athletes go to the regional. One CrossFit Games athlete. Um, we owned 2 gyms at one point in time, 300 something members pretty consistently throughout um, the time, and then I sold it 6 years later. Just really selling the gym was like it's just like another turning point in the life of where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I knew it wasn't for me anymore. I was looking for something different than CrossFit. Like I had taken CrossFit as far as I could take it. I had a very successful gym. I was making good money. Um, I I found out how good I was going to be at the sport. There was nothing new and interesting about CrossFit to me as far as my personal journey of like, where do I go from here? How do I maximize this opportunity? There just didn't seem to be any more opportunities left in CrossFit for me. Um, and I owned 2 gyms. We consolidated it to one. So I knew that like more gyms was not the answer. More locations, more overhead, um, you know, more coaches, all of that stuff just like really starts to burn you out in the gym industry. And I wanted to get into the online space. My body was like pretty beat up from coaching and CrossFit and just the wear and tear of being a gym owner and a coach. You just go through it. Like it's a very physical job, which is one, why you love it. And two, it's just also after 6 years of 7 days a week, it beats you down. Like when I was 27 and started, I never thought I'd have a family. And now when I go home at night and I can't even like have a conversation with my wife because I've been talking all day and listening to rap music and all I want to do is be in the quiet and not listen or talk. Um, it's a really challenging profession for lifestyle. Like it's a phenomenal life as long as it's aligned with the things that you align your values with. And when those two things started to kind of like pull away from each other and create some issues with how I was living my life, that's when it was like, time to go. So I opened a rehab company with a physical therapist, Dr. Teresa Larson. Do you know her?
I do not.
Yeah, you should totally do it. She runs a sick adaptive athlete course,
Okay.
um, and you should totally connect with her. Um, so I got into training adaptive athletes. I just wanted to coach a lot of different people for a while. I got into the rehab thing to like create online businesses. I had never owned an online business. I wanted to figure out how to play that game. The adaptive athlete stuff was really cool. I actually was like, I co-wrote the CrossFit seminar for adaptive athletes with her. We never actually launched it, but the guy that runs it now, Alex Zerkenbeck, he helped us a lot, and then he ended up taking it over. I coached the San Diego Wolfpack wheelchair basketball team. Um, just a bunch of cool stuff. I just wanted to go experience fitness in a very different realm and see how many different places it could take me. And then, right about um, I don't even know what year it was, but I had been friends with Doug when they moved out to San Diego. We trained together a bunch of times. We talked business a bunch of times. Our families became really, really close just because we both had kids, and that's a different life when you have kids. Like, I look at single people now that don't have kids. No disrespect, but I'm just like, you don't get it. We don't live in the same world. Um, like, it's just your priority shift, right? Like, I can't justify going to the gym for 90 minutes because I don't even want to be there for 90 minutes. I want to be home. I want to be with my daughter. I want to experience life in a very different way. So, it's just it's different. Um, and our friendship, there was just some transitions going on at Shrugged, and the company needed to be realigned and get some people that were in place to move the company forward. Um, and Mike was kind of like didn't really know his path, much the same way that I didn't after the gym. He built this company and then kind of got to the end and it was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do something else. Um, and that's kind of where the opportunity opened up for me of like, to keep Barbell Shrugged moving forward. Doug and I took over the show, and then a year after I came on board as an equity partner, Mike walked away, and here we are today, Barbell Shrugged host, and growing a business. It's pretty cool.
I
Who
think,
knew that a barbell could take you on such a journey?
yeah, um, nobody but like Olympians, or
Right?
Matt Fraser. But
Yeah.
like, I think your story is super cool. I was not expecting any of that, so that's
Yeah.
awesome. I know people are gonna take things away from it, like moving out at 14 to go chase your dream of being a hockey player. Like,
Yeah. Right.
I mean, most people in Minnesota, that's what they grow up doing is, hey,
Yeah.
let's play some hockey. Why not? Oh, it's cold
Yeah.
outside. Let's go play some hockey. Oh, it's August. Let's go inside and play some hockey.
Pond hockey, man. Pond hockey's where all the magic happens. That's where people learn how to be creative and play the game.
Yeah, we have a pool in the backyard of our apartment complex, and I was really surprised when they didn't like just freeze it over like during the winter. Like, guys, you could like charge for people to come play hockey.
Yeah.
Would be insane. Like, it's a decent sized pool. Freeze
Yeah.
it over and throw some goals
It
on it.
would totally.
But who inspired you growing up, like during this crazy journey of your life? Who did you
I
look
mean,
up to?
it's like an actual inspiration. I don't really know. I don't know if like there's like a specific person. Everything that's always motivated me to move forward has always been like I love playing games. And there's a physical capacity that you need to have in order to play sports and play games that are physically based, like hockey, baseball. You have to have the skills, and at some point, as you continually play the game, like you I don't know, it'd be interesting to ask my parents who I like really looked up to. Obviously Gretzky was like a cool cool dude. He did okay for himself. Um, but I don't know if I really had like some big role model in athletics. I always just wanted to go. I still only I would say like an overwhelming majority of the decisions I make are based off of am I having fun? Because if I'm having fun doing it, um, or I find value in it, and I feel like I'm playing a game, I feel like it can be won, or you can go on a winning streak, and a lot of that just keeps me motivated. Um, I like playing hockey because I'm playing a game. I still want to play hockey. I still want to play golf. I still want to play soccer. I still want to go out and play games. Like I make the comment all the time of like if people weren't so freaking lazy and every night somebody was like in my court and they were playing kickball, I'd probably go to the gym less. I probably would work out less because there'd be a game to go play every night and I would want to be in that game and I would want to be good at it and I would want to have the winning team and I would put a lot of effort into being good at it. Business is just this game of life that we play and the scoreboard's money and you don't even have to like win to have money. It's more like we're all trying to play together and do as good as we possibly can, knowing that like we can impact people through creating a lot of valuable products that people want to buy. And the more money you make, the more value you can create, the more people you can help, the more you're able to like the system feeds itself. The system needs entrepreneurs and needs creative people to go and create products for um, for everyone to get better and to solve problems. Um, Business is just the sport we get to play, and you don't have to. You can be tall, you can be short, you can be skinny, you can be fat. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anything. What matters in business is that you have a real vision. You're able to communicate clearly about what you do. um, Lead from a place of education so that people know how to get better. Help them as much as possible, inspire them to want to take action, and then you know the big piece is for me is make it entertaining and fun. And I think we have a great business right now. um, you know the fact that we have the podcast, we get to really do the education piece very well. Um, Inspiring people to take action. I love getting messages, and I love when people actually reach out and put together um, like videos and just DMs, whatever it is. If you're literally taking the time out of your day to tag me in your stories or write me a DM or write me on Facebook, like you're my favorite human in the whole world because I created something, you used it, you found benefit out of it, and that's why we do it. It's radical. Um, I all of that is just it's the greatest life, and I hope the show is entertaining. I hope the programs that we're doing are fun. I hope all of that stuff is really like flows together because those are the three like real core components of what I think is important for what we do and how we interact with people. Um, I don't have like a specific person, but I have a life and a almost like a value system that inspires me more than anything, like a real push to be great at something. Um, you know, I actually like try not to talk about it sometimes, but it's impossible. Like if there's a single person, I don't really think of it much as like an inspiration outside of like I trained with John Cena for 4 years, and it's really weird because a lot of people when they hear me say that, and it's one of the reasons I try not to talk about it that much. They think that I'm like training with like the wrestler guy, and they're like, "Oh, that's rad!" Like they do the face thing, and then it's like you can't see me, and yeah, that was like really cool on day one, like that part of it. But the real cool part was that I have stood in a room and shared a squat rack for 4 straight years with one of the greatest entertainers in the country, maybe in the world. And I got to watch that guy work. I got to go to his house and see how he lived. I got to see all the behind the scenes stuff. I got to see all the like I got to like go out to dinner with that guy and see how he operates and talk to him. Like we've shared many bottles of wine together, and we get to like I get to like ask. There's no better teacher in the world than me sharing a barbell with John Cena, and for some reason that guy likes me. That guy gave me the green light to call him or text him. That guy like has never not replied a text. That's insane to me. He just became he's like partners at this really cool foundation called FitOps, and I was like one of the first people he invited to come speak and do podcasts down there and tell the world about how FitOps is creating personal training certifications for military vets with PTSD, and he trusts me to come down there and talk to those people and be a part of his business. And I'm like, man, so it's not even inspiration. I think that like it's out of sheer respect that I have been lucky enough to be around people like that. And if I were to like quit working one day, if I were to like take a day off, or if I were to stop living this life, and this value system that I've like created for myself, I would lose that, and that would be like the death penalty in my life. Like I couldn't even imagine. You get to a place where somebody of that caliber of human, who could literally have anybody he wanted in his life, and he chooses to allow me in it, is the most humbling, um, craziest thing. Like I'm just a dude that likes barbells, and somehow he sees something in me that allows me to have access to a brain and a body and a person that is of his caliber. It's crazy.
That's awesome and insane. Like that's how I feel like getting to have this conversation right now. Like
Thanks.
I've been doing CrossFit for 6 years now as of March,
Yeah.
and coaching for well, I got my level one 5 years ago, started coaching 4 years ago, and just got my level two. But like the people that I've been able to interact with and meet since like just starting CrossFit, like I started training 11 years ago, but it wasn't CrossFit. Like
Yeah.
I found out what CrossFit was in 2012 because I was on YouTube because I was getting bored of what I was doing in the gym.
Yeah.
But like what I saw was the CrossFit Games, and like from my background of being told I wasn't like allowed to play sports or anything after the age of 12, I was like, oh, I can't do that, but like I can watch it. Like
Yeah.
World's Strongest Man. It's like, oh, that's the coolest thing ever. And then like a year later, I found out that the guy that like helped me start strength and conditioning was coaching like his clients with like CrossFit methodology, and
Yeah.
got the CrossFit gym started. I was
That's
like, oh,
awesome.
this is so cool. And
Yeah.
then a year after that, I was waiting for him and his like buddies to get out of my way because they were in the squat rack, and I was like, they're in my way. And then he was just like, why are you standing there? It's your turn. Come here. And I was like,
Yeah.
in the world. And so I started, and like I was doing push presses with the women, and one guy,
Perfect.
I was like, how can they push press more than me? Like I'm not supposed to be able to use my legs. I'm only using my upper body. What is this? And then
That's awesome, man.
the first workout was Spiked on Bad because they were following CrossFit.com, and it was Spiked on Bad. And like I'd never
Yeah.
heard the calories before. I didn't know what I was doing with a wall ball. Like I couldn't do box jumps at the time, so they made me do air squats. And it was like, this is amazing. And like
Yeah.
didn't take a day off for like 6 months after that. I was like, this is incredible. For like the places, like you said, you get to meet and hang out with John Cena for 4 years. Like I now get to meet you, and I've
Yeah,
met
man.
like I was Ben Smith. Um, him and I got to partner together for a workout for a charity up in Minnesota, like on Christmas
Sick.
weekend. And like I walked in, and the gym owner, he owns CrossFit Timberwolf and was on like Timberwolf's CrossFit team, like game team.
Yeah.
And he's like, Dano, this is Ben Smith. And I was like,
Cool.
this is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm 6'2" on a good day, so I was like looking down at everybody. There's like
Yeah.
Ken Smith, hey man, how's it going? And then like
Yeah.
we worked out together, and he's so fit, and like the workout was like row 1,000 meters, but they didn't have enough rowers, so we had to use a ski erg, and I had never used one before, so I'm like skiing like 150 meters at a time, and then he blasts out like 400, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah, right.
And then it was like
They're
100,
freaks, man.
yeah, like the next movement was 100 wall, and we started, and I was like, let's do set to 10. And he's like, okay, and then I was like, you're done already? What are you doing?
Yeah,
And
that's
like,
funny.
yeah, so
Yeah, dude, like the experiences are see that's the stuff that when you think about the word inspiration, I don't necessarily like I don't really have any specific person or whatever, but like that I, when you start to add up those like life stories, you start to believe that you're different and that you're all of these things are happening to you specifically for a reason and that your destiny is to be this person. And when you start believing your own story, it's a really powerful thing because then you become I guess we all do believe our story. It's just many people believe that their story is a negative one or that their their story is I'm stuck here. I'm never going to achieve more. This is my life. Instead of looking at all of the insanely cool things that happen to you in your life that lead to the next thing, that lead to the next thing, that lead to the next thing. Um, and that's really been, a massive driving factor in my life of like, you know, even 20 years later, looking back at my high school career, and I'm like, whoa, like how cool is it that I got to leave home and experience life in such a radically different way than most kids ever would imagine, leaving their home at 14 and growing up at a school, 8 hours away, 500 miles away from home. But the lessons that I learned at that school were insane being on my own like that. I mean, we had teachers and all of that, and it's a very protected community and all that stuff. But yeah, like kind of on your own to figure out the social scene. I remember like not having friends, and then realizing like, okay, if I'm gonna make this thing work, like I need to get friends. Well, now I've got a problem to solve. Like, how do I get a friend? I've always had friends because I was good at sports, and then I showed up to a place where I wasn't good at sports. It's like, okay, so the thing that made me cool is no longer the thing that makes me cool. I guess I got to figure out this personality thing. Like, how do I make friends? And then you figure out how to make friends. You figure out like who you are, and then you know, uh, uh, just starting a business. Not many people do that, and then to be able to be in business for 10 years is really crazy. To be able to have an audience like we have, to run a business like we have, like man, it's insane. It's super cool, and I yeah, if that's the superpower, like believing that the universe is working for you because you're putting in the work, and good things will continue to happen to you, and that if there is some like higher purpose to all of it, like you're the only person that's going to be able to fulfill and live this dream out, so you might as well get after it.
wisdom. There it is. That's like you so there's a post that California Strength put up on their Instagram 2.5 months ago probably, and it's the most simple like thing anybody ever could say would fit to this, and it's just work works. Like, you can't do anything unless you work for it. Like we wouldn't be here today unless we worked for it.
Yeah,
Thankfully, we still get to do the things we can do during this shutdown. But like you can go out and find something if you look for it or try to find it. Like my wife, thankfully, is one of the essential workers, so she's a nanny. So she gets
yeah,
to nanny every day. So she leaves the house, goes to work. I sit home. I run the gym from the house, and then
yeah,
like run groceries for people, like on the side.
yeah,
Oh, someone ordered groceries. I'm gonna go grocery shop and pick it up.
yeah,
Hey, it works 'cause I need to.
yeah,
But yeah, I thought that kind of tied in with what you just said.
Totally, man.
But, you answered most of the questions through the story, anyways, so I don't have to ask most of them. But who formed the work ethic that you have now? Like, who helped you do that, or was it just you wanting to have fun?
No
Or
way. Dude. Well, one, I think some people are born hustlers. And it's really funny that uh everything is like on a spectrum. So like if I live in the suburbs and I can snatch 225 pounds, I'm probably the strongest person in like a 5 mile, 10 mile radius of me right now.
mhm,
Um, Mainly just because most people aren't that strong. And in order to get that strong, you have to lift weights for a very long time, which a lot of people struggle lifting weights for a very long time or doing anything for a very long time. So at the age of 36, I'm probably in the top 1% of all humans in the world in strength. If you put us all together, I'm probably there. But if you were to ask me if I was strong, I don't really think I'm that strong because everybody in my bubble, all of them snatch 225. Everybody squats 400. And I feel like I know way too many people that squat 500 to even think that I'm like remotely strong. So when you think about hard work and hustling, it's all the same. Like I probably outwork tons of people. Probably outwork like 99% of the whole human population. But when you're in my bubble, I hang out with all the hustlers. I hang out with all the good trainers. I hang out with all the people that are on the grind every single day. So I know that there's still a long way to go. And I also know that like I have a lot of things competing for my time and energy and that I have to pay attention to, like my house, my family, my daughter, my wife. Um, all of those things compete for time and energy. And it's something that I actually I will even talk you through a lot of what I'm going through right now because I want to separate myself. I don't want to be seen anymore on social media as like an athlete. It's not really who I am anymore, and it's taken like my daughter's not even 2 years old, but like I want people to know that I'm just a dad. Like I live the same battle that every dad lives of like I don't have a lot of time. I run a business. Um, I have to, I gave you a hard 12:30 cutoff on this podcast because I have 10 minutes to possibly eat some food. I've got a 10-minute drive to the track. I'm running 1,200 meters 4 times on the 6 minute and 30 second, and then I'm going to run some 100-meter sprints, and then I got to get home before nap time's over. So like I don't live when I see like influencers on Instagram and I see them videoing their whole life and I see them doing all this stuff. I look at them like, we don't live in the same world and I don't want to be in that world. I don't want to be on Instagram all the time. I don't want any of that. I want to be who I am, which is a dad. Like I'm a dad. Yeah, I'm not cool. I clean diapers. I make dinner. I make breakfast. I'm up at 5 in the morning when she wakes up. My wife is up at 5 in the morning when she wakes up. Um, and owning that. The only difference is like I'm 100% dad. You just may walk by my driveway and I'm squatting 315 for 20. It's just different. Like
a little bit.
I just happen to be good at this thing that I love. But I'm just I joke about it, but it's a real thing. Like I'm just the diesel dad in the neighborhood. Like people walk by my home gym and they look at it and it's the nicest gym in town and they go, "Oh, that's really nice." And my wife meets their wives and they're like, "Oh, your husband's the one with the gym." Yeah, because it's extremely important to me. But if they all came over and met me, they would see that I'm cooking dinner. I'm keeping my house in order. I'm trying to run a great business. I'm like a very, very normal human being. I don't want to just be cool on the internet. I want my daughter to think I'm cool. I want her to know that I don't put her in a stroller. I want to carry her. I don't want her to think that life is easy. I want to teach her to work hard. So I take her to the track with me, and like I do lunges with her, and I every morning we do push-ups together, and I want her to live in a structured life that um, I want her to know that she has to work, and I want her to know that it's hard. And if you think it's supposed to be easy, you're totally screwed. You're totally screwed if you're chasing easy. But if the goal is to make it as hard as you possibly can by setting really high, really lofty goals for yourself and knowing that getting there is supposed to be hard, everything else becomes easier because then you're not looking for the easy route. You're not looking to avoid pain. You're finding pain. And, it's the thing that really set, like, CrossFit's such a great model for this because the the goal of CrossFit is to take yourself to the end and then not let off the gas pedal. The goal is to look at the barbell and you keep going. You're actively seeking as much pain as you can possibly put yourself into, finish as fast as possible. Now, on a fitness side of things, that might not be the best thing. Might not totally want gen pop people that aren't prepared for that mentality without a big strength training background to actively be seeking pain and struggle in the weight room. There's a long process to go before you get to that. But Matt Frazier, when he steps on the line, when Tia steps on the line with all those people, he is so ready to eat their lunch. He is so ready to slit their throats through fitness. It is just in him. It is so deeply ingrained in him that he is going to destroy them, that he will suffer so much and he will suffer through so much pain because he's not going to when everybody else wants just one breath of air, he has trained himself to be so intense on dealing with that pain and creating so much value in that pain because he knows what it's going to get him and where it's going to take him, that he's there. And that's just it. I'm just a dad. I just have a weird framework and I learned it through lifting weights, and that's how I want to raise her. It's how I live my life, and I'm just a dad, just happen to be a lot stronger than the rest of them.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much, man. I know you have a hard out in like 11 minutes, but
Yeah, we're crushing it.
yeah, we are. Well, you're crushing it. So, what are some of your future plans for business if you're allowed to talk about it?
Yeah.
I mean, with all the
Yeah, we
COVID
have
stuff
some.
going on.
Yeah, we have some really cool stuff. Working with some. I probably shouldn't really talk about it, but we should be launching in some really big stores, and like a retail side of things, um, late June, early July, which I'm really excited about because it's another thing that's completely out of my comfort zone of like building displays. Um, we've got a ton of training programs coming out right now. This whole thing has really forced a lot of creativity upon us as a company. We haven't really had much like business lost, but we're not really gaining a lot of business right now, mainly just because um, it happened very quickly. Creating programs isn't like some overnight thing. And then additionally, it's a it's a tough situation when you're a barbell company. I mean, a barbell is in our name. Barbell Shrugged is a barbell company. And then they take barbells out of everyone's hands. Like, what do you do when the government shuts down the single tool that feeds you? So it's been cool though. We've put out some body weight ebooks. Um, we're creating some like aesthetic stuff. We're digging into the nutrition piece. There's a lot of opportunity. I think you know there's a lot of stuff that's just become interesting to me. I'm doing these little things called You Go I Go Thursdays, where I'm just zooming somebody. We put together like a barbell complex, um, and then You Go I Go. We pick 200 reps. So this week, partnering up with a guy, and he's got it's like we're going power clean, front squat, push jerk at 185. It's basically an EMOM 20 where we just train together. But these people I've been friends with on social media or have followed the show and have always reached out, and now we get to just create cool stuff. We'll do it live. I'm really excited about it just because I get to work out with people that I would never, ever in our daily busy lives be able to connect with. It's a really cool idea. Body weight workouts, dumbbell workouts, band workouts, all that stuff now is like a reality. We're just problem solving and with a new system and a new structure for figuring out fitness. And it's cool. I think that, look, if you were not in this thing for life, now is a great time to get out because nobody would even think you failed. You would have like the perfect excuse to not make it. And I think every gym owner that's ever thought about shutting the doors to their gym should do it right now. Like, stop with the Zoom calls that you're half-assing. Stop with all the stuff that you're not interested in. Just shut the doors. You're not gonna have to worry about anything. The whole world is forgiving all of your failure right now because the COVID-19 showed up and took your business. But the ones that want to be in it, time to go.
Yeah.
Gotta go. Time to work.
You have so much more free time. Like if you're not like I'm not at the gym anymore. Like I used to be at the gym either training at 9 a.m. so I could coach noon all the way to 7:30 at night, plus like taking consults and all the phone calls and all that stuff. Or like if I didn't have to be there early, get there at noon, coach the noon, train, then coach all the evening classes. Now I'm in my apartment. Like all I do is either watch like educational videos on strength and conditioning or like all the stuff that you guys put out that I can take notes on. And I have to like recertify my NASM right now. So like I have so
Yeah.
much time to read this stuff. Just like everyone else that owns a gym, if they want to make it better, like
Yeah.
they can spend 8 hours a day that they would be at the gym like doing other things.
Dude, I mean, we did a show on it. I want to say 2 weeks ago we put it out, maybe last week. I think it was 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. I mean, it's if you're ever, and if you've ever thought about being in fitness, or if you're at your house right now and you realize that you have a bunch of free time, why are you not creating a business?
Yeah.
Like, why are you not putting a training program together? I mean, I own a business. I don't have any free time, and I still want to create a new one specifically to solve a lot of the problems that are going on. Like, I think that there's like a legit need right now for adult like PE class and teaching people how to play games at their house because it's like if there's a couple things that like are happening, right? The like adult PE class, because most people go to the gym and now they're in their house. So they're looking for workouts, but they don't realize that like working out is like this tiny little piece of general health. Like I actually struggle talking to people about working out sometimes because I'm like, I mean, you're trying to isolate this tiny little thing and put it into a vacuum where it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's a system. You wonder why I don't struggle working out. It's because I don't have to think about it. If I don't work out, I'll go crazy.
Yeah.
And they're like, how do I eat well? It's like, well, if instead of worrying about how you eat well, why don't you think about not eating out? Well, now all the restaurants are taken out of your life, but nobody went to home ec class that's our age. That doesn't exist anymore. All that funding got cut. So like, why isn't there an adult cooking class going on every single day? Like, I haven't gotten that ad one time on my Facebook. Like, someone should create a 30-day cooking class because everybody in the country needs it right now. There's no restaurants open, nobody knows how to cook, and everybody needs healthy food. Why aren't we doing it? Why isn't there an adult PE class? Like, I just make up games outside for my neighbors to come over and we keep our distance, but like adult bocce golf, like kick a soccer ball and see how many times it takes you to hit the golf ball to the soccer ball. Simple. but it gets people outside. You're getting vitamin D. You're moving around. You can do it barefoot. You can actually get a little bit of grounding in your life. You might actually interact with the environment that you live in. It's genius. How about croquet? Why aren't people playing croquet? Why aren't you just going out and like, there's so many things that people, if they just worked and wanted to enjoy their life more and found like physical freedom and like creativity fun. But the problem with those two is it takes work, and you have in order to develop physical freedom, mental freedom, all that stuff, you have to put the work in up front to experience the benefits at the end. It's the first 2 weeks, it's the first month that everyone's always afraid of like, oh, this is hard. It's not that hard once you create the system. It's simple. Like it's really not that challenging. You just have to put in the work up front, and it's like everything. Get to work, go. No one's stopping you. Just get up, get off your ass, and go.
There it is. I think we'll end it on that note. You have to leave in 2 minutes.
We smashed it.
You smashed it. Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor.
I'm glad we got to do this, man. Really glad we got to hang out.
Me too. I hope to see you in person at some point, when the band is lifted.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Where can people find you? Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff.
Yeah, get over to barbellshrugged.com. All of our programs are up in the store, or you can go to the programs tab. Anything from 30-day programs to 18-month programs, depending upon your goal, nutrition, all that fun stuff. I'm Anders Varner at Anders Varner. We're Barbell Shrugged at Barbell_Shrugged. You can catch us Monday and Wednesday on the podcast, on all the podcast places. YouTube at Barbell Shrugged. I'm putting up like 1 to 2 videos, doing a lot of live workout stuff up there right now, just to keep people moving. And holy crap, I try to be everywhere. So if you can find me on TikTok, I'm in TikTok. Anders Varner. I don't do the dancing. I just post workout videos. But come rage. Come hang out with me.
Awesome.
I will answer all your questions. I promise. We have like 8 seconds until I got to go.
All right.
I'm taking all the time. I told you I talk a lot.
That's totally fine. Thank you so much. Have a great
Awesome, man.
Workout. See you later.
Thanks, dude. Have a good one, bud.